With that, please welcome Amy Fallucca, CEO at Braven, to introduce our speaker today.
Morning, everybody. I'm Amy Fallucca, and today I'm proud to introduce my husband, Nick. He's going to speak about his family's business, Palermo's Pizza. I actually first met Nick when I was home for the summer after my freshman year of college at Madison. I needed work, so my dad, who was then the director of operations for Palermo's Pizza, hooked me up with a summer job working at the festivals. I had no idea that's where I would meet my future husband. Neither did my dad. Over the years, I've seen Nick grow in his role at Palermos. His responsibilities now include overseeing marketing, innovation, human resources, quality, the on-site pizzeria, and my personal favorite, research and development. So yes, we do get to try all the tasty new pizzas before they come out, and no, we never get sick of eating pizzas at our house. Nick cares deeply about the Milwaukee community. He's on the board of Kinship Community Food Center, which was formerly known as River West Food Pantry. He's also on the leadership committee for Home Group. In summary, I'm really glad that I met Nick that day. We've been married for 10 years. After meeting at State Fair, we have 2 beautiful children together, and I'm really grateful to be in the family of a great local business with a really rich heritage, especially because it was bootstrapped by Nick's grandparents, who were immigrants from Sicily. So he's going to tell you more about that. It's an amazing story. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you to my lovely wife, Amy, for the introduction. And thank you for hosting me today. It's an honor to be here. I've heard a lot about your meetings through Amy, and so, again, it's truly an honor to be here. So I am Nick Fallucca. I'm a 3rd generation at Palermo's Pizza, and my official title is the Chief Product and Innovation Officer. There's 2 themes that I'm going to cover today that I think are relevant in our business. I think one is innovation in everything we do. The second is customer intimacy. This morning, I'll go over our brief history, my family, our product portfolio, and some of the labor and supply chain issues that we're facing in today's world. So, in 1954, my grandparents came over from Palermo, Sicily, hence the name Palermo's Pizza. And they didn't come the traditional route, coming through Ellis Island. They actually came through Venezuela because they were poor. They were farmers. They came from the countryside, not even in Palermo. And so they got married in Venezuela and came to Milwaukee. In 1964, my grandparents opened up Palermo Villa on Milwaukee's east side, on Murray and North Avenue. That restaurant is still there today. We've been there multiple times, and it's called Tavolino. It's really nice. And some of the original brickwork is there, and it's always special, to walk in and see this place that my grandfather started. Before he had enough money to open the bakery, he worked as a dishwasher at Pfister, and he worked in tile terrazzo work to save up enough money. And he did most of the retrofitting at Palermo Villa himself. And then in 1969, they opened the restaurant, Palermo Villa Restaurant. And at this restaurant, they made very traditional Italian foods and things that you might not be able to get today because they are that traditional product. But there's really 2 things that I think about, from my grandfather, my grandmother, is their commitment to really great quality food and customer service. My grandfather, he would give you the shirt off his back. But if you tried taking it from him, I can tell you with his Sicilian attitude, that would not end well. And because of their really great commitment to the customer and the product, they had such a strong following. People like Frankie Avalon and James Darren were some of the frequent visitors who'd come to the restaurant. They'd hang out long hours. Palermo Villa was open basically from lunchtime all the way to bar time. At the time, that bar time was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Closer. Is that better? All right. And so bar time was quite late back at that time. And my grandfather always felt bad because they had long lines of people waiting, people sitting at the bar. And so what he would do is he'd make these French bread pizzas. He would take his traditional Italian loaf, and he'd put pizza toppings on them. And that was kind of a staple for people sitting at the bar. Well, one day, an individual from Sendix came in and said, "Jack, you got to try the Stouffer's French bread pizza." My grandfather tries it. "What is this garbage? I don't want to eat this." He's like, "That's the point. You should go in to selling your product in the grocery store. You should get into frozen pizza." Well, my grandfather at the time was thinking, the restaurant business is tough. I mean, it's tough today, but especially at the time, his whole family was working. My 2 uncles, my dad, and they really didn't have time for much else. It was restaurant, maybe sleeping on the flour sacks, any kind of sports that my uncles or dad were in. My grandparents weren't able to watch. They were always at the restaurant. I mean, they used to make their own sausage. I mean, they'd get in full pork butts and make their own sausage. They'd chop their own peppers. Everything was done from scratch. And so the life that they had was a very close family life, but it was tough. And so he wanted to give his family something better. So the story goes that while my grandmother, 2 uncles, and father were at Disney World, my grandfather up and sold the restaurant and got into frozen pizza. So that was 1979 that they got into frozen pizza. And he had no idea what he was doing. But he built the location essentially from an old house. So that location we still own, and it is on 8th and Maple. So we went from the east side to the south side. And, for a number of years, we were just selling to bars or restaurants, maybe some grocery stores, but we weren't, a household name. We were known in the Milwaukee area. And then as I think about another valuable lesson that my father taught me was my grandfather turned the business over to him in 1982. He said, "Giacomo, if I stay as running this company, you're going to lose all of your customers and all of your employees." And here's kind of a little story to explain why. In the restaurant business, it's easy. You make great food, you give them the food, they pay you. That's the end of the transaction. You talk to them, it's a nice day. In the world of retail, it's much different. There's brokers, there's slotting, there's the warehouse, there's logistics, all these things. And so we had this big order of product. We shipped it out to a local grocery store. That product sat in the back shelf and got aged. And because it got aged, the retailer called my grandfather, said, "Hey, Jack, we've got this aged inventory that you have to pay for." My grandfather went ballistic. He was so mad. He drove over there and said, expletive, "What are you doing? You're supposed to put this product on shelf. That's your job." And while he was right, that's not the way that we can behave in a professional business. And so my father took over in 1982. And it really wasn't until I'd say 1989, 1990 that we started to get our big break. And this is where I talk about customer intimacy. We worked with a company called Safeway out west and developed the first rising crust pizza in the country. They took a chance on us. They came to the south side on 8th and Maple Street and came to Palermos and saw the facility we had and said, "We're going to take a chance that we're going to give you our private label business." And so in 1993, we got into private label with Safeway. And that really made us become a frozen pizza company. So I'm going to pause on our history, and we're going to come back to it. We'll talk a little bit about who is in the family business. But these are just in our leadership group at Palermos. We also have some other individuals as well, so I don't want to forget about them, but who here has worked in a family business before? Anyone? So there's some really great things about family business. There's some big challenges with family business, right? You've got personalities, differing opinions, different ways you want to go maybe, different styles. Some people want growth. Some people want to just do things the way they are. And so we had our fair share of challenges with that as well. But I think, as I look back, I'm so fortunate about my experience in my family's business. I got to see my grandfather through all his passion, but then in his later years. My grandmother is still with us today. Sometimes we still get cookies. Last night we had our pasta for dinner. It was delicious. So here's what I've kind of learned about my family and what they've taught me and why my experience has been invaluable. I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. My father, he's taught me a drive for change, a desire to win, and an inner fire. That's just his personality. For those of you who have maybe seen him speak, he's got this inner passion inside. You can always see him churning. He always wants to do better, to do more. My mom has an incredible sense of creativity and a strong vision and purpose. My uncle, Angelo, he is my dad's a chief executive officer. My mother is a chief creative officer. My uncle Angelo is the president. And what I've learned from him is servant leadership, patience, and humor. And I think by having those three, and through all the ups and downs, having those three at the head of the company has been really great for me to see. Learning the things that I can really take away and appreciate that they do every day, and also see their hard work. I mean, they've been in this business this whole time, and it's incredible to see the grind early on and doing everything. I mean, they were the company early on, from sales, marketing, operations, and to see where it's grown today, it's really special. And my grandfather, he'd always get emotional, seeing the facility and seeing where we come today. So we don't always agree, but I think one of the things that we definitely do agree on is finding people that are smarter than yourselves. And especially it's relevant in today's day and age that, and the way things are going as far as the speed of business, the needs to supply your customers, you can't do it yourself. You got to find people who are smarter than you and bring them on board. And I think that's what's led to a lot of our success at Palermos. So this is a kind of a brief overview of some of our brands. And then I'll go back to our history and kind of explain from the 90s until today. So we call Palermo's our family of brands. We have Screamin' Sicilian, which is our largest brand and largest national brand. Palermo's, which has been around since 1964. Urban Pie, which is I'd say a flavor exploration. Products that you don't necessarily find at just your local pub or your local pizza restaurant, but unique flavors you might find on some of the coasts. Connies, which is a brand that we acquired. That is another strong restaurant brand that fit well into our portfolio. Funky Fresh, which I'll talk about that acquisition later that we've acquired. So these are what we call our family of brands. I highlighted two customers on here, Costco, Walmart. They have been really incredible partners of ours for many years. And I'll talk a little bit more about them soon. All right, so back to our history and our products. So in 2003, we developed the first ultra-thin premium pizza in the marketplace called Primo Thin. I'm sure Primo Thin is a brand that most of you guys know here today. At the time, they didn't have good branded products. They just had your traditional, cardboard style pizza. And so we thought we can do better. So we launched 2003, and that put us on the map. Because of that product, we were able to get nationwide distribution through Costco and really form a great partnership with Costco. We were riding high on our coattails. In 2006, we moved into our new facility in Menominee Valley. Menominee Valley wasn't the place that we first thought we were going to move to. We thought the suburbs, maybe a different state, but we knew deep down that the city of Milwaukee was where we wanted to be. It's where our workforce was, and the people in Menominee Valley were just so great that when we moved in, we knew it was the right decision. So that was in 2006. We installed this new manufacturing line. And this line we still use today, and it is amazing. It's a marble hearth oven imported from Italy. These mixers we have are just like the best bakery mixers, and they're not necessarily pizza dough mixers. I mean, they are now, but they were meant for great breads. And so we bought all this equipment from Italy to make this really traditional Italian product. So in 2007, we launched a product called Hearth Italia, traditional Italian pizza, chicken pesto, fresh mozzarella, Kalamata olives, eggplant, roasted zucchini, everything that's on trend today. Well, that was 2007. That product fell flat on its face. And we learned that just because it's a great product, sometimes you have to be relevant at the right moment. And this is an example where we weren't relevant at the right moment. But then we pivoted. All right, how do we use this great asset we have and make some great products? Around this time, we formed another partnership with Costco where we started to make one of their branded Kirkland Signature pizzas. We still make that same pizza today. So it's their cheese pizza for Kirkland Signature. If you go buy it, it's delicious. It's a 4-pack. Sorry, is this my water? Or no? Yeah? Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to fast forward from 2007 to 2013. Palermo's was doing well. But our branded business was essentially just Palermo's. And after you're in the market for so long, you have to come up with something new. Well, we looked at the success of craft beer and what craft beer was doing to big breweries across the country. You saw some people's passion for a product that was crafted differently, that was crafted better, using unique ingredients, small batch processing. And we said, you know what? We're going to do that too. Even though we are, a larger scale frozen pizza operator. At the time, we thought we were large, but we weren't. And let's make a craft pizza. So we sourced the best cheese we could find. We cut every single cheese we could find. We looked at the best sauce, the best sausage. And I'll tell you, this was some of the hardest 2 days ever. I mean, we've had some tough days, but eating sausage for 2 days straight. But we found one, and the supplier came and he explained why it's better. And we tasted it, we saw it. We've got a great product. Now, what do we call this? So we went through a brainstorming of just maybe fun names. But then we thought, how do we maybe embody our heritage, our history? So we had some random names we thought of. One was called Saucy Tongue. That didn't, no one liked that. Then we had a product name called the Wandering Donkey. What if this was called what the heck? It's actually a fun story that when my grandfather used to fall asleep back on the farm growing up, that his donkey would actually just bring him back home. And he could just fall asleep after a hard day's work. He said, okay, well, that's kind of a fun, paying homage to my grandfather. He was always talking loudly. To you, maybe he'd be screaming. And so that's kind of where we got our name, the Screamin' Sicilian. The product embodies him. It's bold and full of flavor and full of life. He's got this big mustache like he used to have. So that's kind of how we got to the name Screamin' Sicilian. So we thought, okay, most product at this time was a $5 pizza maybe. Let's charge $10 for a frozen pizza. And let's not offer discounts because the product is so good. So we tested in 50 stores in Chicago and 50 stores in Milwaukee. We didn't pay slotting, and so what slotting is you pay dollars to put your product on shelf. In some places it costs more, in some places it costs less. We didn't have the budget to pay slotting to launch this product. And so we launched it slow, and then we grew it a few more stores, and a few more stores, and a few more stores. And eventually it caught on. And today, Screamin' Sicilian is our largest brand by far. It's won numerous awards for best pizza, best tasting pizza, best packaging, new innovation, and it's really our workhorse of the brand. So then in 2016, we wanted to continue to build upon the success of Screamin' Sicilian. We knew that the craft pizza model was the right model. So we launched a product called Urban Pie. And again, riding high on our coattails, we said, hey, we put this great pizza out, and millennials want all these unique ingredients: pesto, fresh mozzarella, truffle, et cetera, et cetera. We did focus groups. We did research. We paid for research. Doing it the right way. And retailers said, yes, I want this product. This is what our consumers are demanding. But what we found out is that we launched too fast. We went across the country and we paid dollars to put it in nationally. And it didn't work because we grew too fast. We didn't focus our efforts on launching it slowly and focused. And so from 2016 to now, we were trying to figure out, what do we do with this really great product? Everyone who tries it loves it. It's a lot of people's favorite pizza, but the awareness is low. And so one of our new strategies for Urban Pie was to put it into the natural channel. And so the natural channel, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Fresh Time, local grocery stores that have more of a health focus. And I'm happy to say that now Urban Pie is the #2 brand in all of natural. And our biggest account is called Sprouts. We're the #1 brand in all of Sprouts. Just by shifting our efforts and talking with our customers, say, where does this product actually belong? In 2017, we acquired a brand called Connies. Connies has been around since the 60s, a family-owned restaurant, and they started doing frozen pizza. We started to distribute their frozen pizza on our trucks, and then we started to make their frozen pizzas in our facility. So we were already making the product, distributing the product, and we had a really close relationship with the family. And at that point, we acquired that brand. And Connie's is now probably one of our best moving items in the market because it's pretty local. It's in Wisconsin, Illinois, and then in the Southwest. We followed some of the people moving out west that they're sick. Wisconsin's cold and wonderful weather like today. But unit velocity is a really important metric for us. It says how well are you doing on shelf, and so the analogy my father's used, and it's maybe dated, but it's okay. I think we'll understand it. Is that if you're going to the record store, right, and you're picking out a record, there's only slots for 10 of them, let's say, and you have to be in that top 10 of record sales. Otherwise, you're getting kicked out. And so for us, we need to make sure that we're always in those top percentage of moving items in that retailer space. Otherwise, we're getting kicked out. And the amount of money that goes into developing an item, to paying to have it on shelf, to market it, to launch it, to source it, it's a long time period. It might be a year. So think of all the resources and time just to put something on shelf, to have it fail. So one, it's the retailer telling you, people don't like your product. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Fortunately, what we've seen with Connies is that we've kept it relatively local, and it's one of our fastest moving items on shelf. In 2018, we launched an item called Screamin' Sicilian Loaded Pan. This is a really fun item. It's an item that we patented. It's the first of its kind, another innovation for Palermos. So most pizza is either pressed, so like our Primo Thin is a pressed product, and so it's a crust, or it's rolled out and sheeted. This was actually a live dough. So picture you're stretching dough at home, and you put it into a pan. But in that pan has pepperoni and cheese in the bottom, and so it bakes and engulfs all those yummy, greasy flavors. So we launched Loaded Pan, and it tested great. People loved it. We didn't realize is that, let's say that you pick up this wonderful Screamin' Sicilian Loaded Pan, and it's sitting upright, and it's July. And then you go pick up your kids from soccer, you go get the stuff from the cleaners, and you come back, and our pizza was completely squished. Consumers said, you have a product failure. That was not fun. But our company quickly adapted. We had people that were smarter than us that said, all right, if you look at the way you do packaging and you put it into what's called a modified atmosphere packaging, a MAP package, so one that vacuum seals the product, you're going to eliminate the product shifting in the pack. And so we did that, And now I'm happy to say that we got new distribution through, oddly enough, Dollar General. It's not a dollar, but in full distribution across every single one of their stores, which is an incredible opportunity that we're replacing a DiGiorno item. We continue to think about innovation, and the trends were saying that crust innovation was important to consumers. Consumers want a better crust. So we launched some items like vegetable crust and urban pie, broccoli cheddar, cauliflower, sweet potato. We launched an item called Zabruski, which has Leinenkugel's beer pumped into the crust. In April of 2020, we put hemp seeds into our crust, another new crust innovation. Then COVID hit. And at first, people wanted anything in the grocery store. It's 2 weeks to slow the curve, and we're going to be at home, and we're just going to hunker down, and we're going to just eat all these cool grocery store products. And then 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and a year, and we found that people, while they like unique, they want comfort, and they want to feel comfortable with the product they're eating, and they don't always want to be trying something different. They've had a hard day at work. They don't want to try a new product. They just want another great pepperoni or pepperoni and sausage. And so I'll talk a little bit more about this shift of our company in a little bit. But one of the things that happened during COVID for us was that our retail partners knew that they could reach out to us in time of need. They weren't being supplied by some of their suppliers and their brands. So specifically, during COVID, Walmart reached out to us and said, "Hey, we have gaps on our shelves. What can you put in?" At the time, we're like, "Great, we have trucks that drive around the entire Midwest. We filled every grocery store with every product we had, and it was great." And Walmart saw how good we are at stocking their shelves, and just being a business partner to them overall. And they reached out and they said, "Hey, we want to partner with you guys and put your branded item in every single Walmart across the country." Well, this is going to require a new manufacturing line and a new bakery line. But because of our partnership with them, we were able to work on a long-term contract to support this business. And so, today we have a really great partnership with them and able to do some of these items across the board. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. 2021, backing up, we would always go to these different speaking events where small businesses would present about what's going on, their challenges. And my father heard Truman McGee from Funky Fresh speak at an event. And he was pitching his product of why Funky Fresh spring rolls are going to be the next big thing. And so my father started to mentor Truman McGee, and they formed a really great relationship. And they were just having casual coffees, and my father gave him advice when he had his restaurant at Sherman Park or Sherman Phoenix. And then Truman was talking about growing into more locations. "Hey, I want to go to this location. And we started talking through the financial impact of a new location, which means new rent, high rent. Well, how are you going to cover your overhead costs, et cetera? How do you plan to grow? Where do you want to grow?" And essentially the deal we came up with Funky Fresh is that you guys can grow this by yourself. We know you can. You're an incredibly intelligent individual. You've got a great product. You care about the people that are working for you, and you care about your product. However, we have the resources to take your product and grow it really fast, and to do it the right way. To be able to take your same great ingredients you have today, but do it at a large scale for less cost, and allow you to get your name out there in the marketplace. And so today, that's the relationship we have, is that we own a majority of the frozen business of Funky Fresh. And Truman still has his restaurants and his food trucks and that side of things. But I can tell you, it has just been amazing working with Truman on recipes, on development. He's come out to different co-manufacturers with us to help develop the product. And so it's integral to have him in so that the great product that he's made in his kitchen, that we can actually translate to the grocery store today. All right, so I talked a little bit about innovation and partnerships. So what's next? What's realistic ideation and innovation versus something that's not realistic? And again, so remember to talk about the crusts, how we want crust innovation. So we partnered with Kugels and got 6 kegs, right? And you're pumping these 6 kegs into our bakery, by hand. And it's the name of this machine was called Ursula. She looked, got all these tentacles. And the process is amazing. But from a supply chain and manufacturing, it was difficult. It's not just your traditional dough recipe. And same with our urban pie hemp seed crust. And so during COVID, we had to figure out, what are we going to do? We've got all these unique products out in the marketplace. We've spent all this time developing and launching. How are we going to maintain this? There's supply chain shortages. There's labor shortages. We can't get some of the materials. So how do we maybe do things a little differently? And there's really 2 things. Is one, from a focusing on better versions of simplicity, and 2 is really great customer relationships. So what's really exciting about this is these are just new product launches that we've launched this year. We have 55 new first productions coming up for the rest of the year. And what's exciting about some of these is our partnership with Walmart has led us to grow and expand some unique brands into their marketplace. So during COVID, there was this funny, obscene, crude gentleman named David Portnoy, and he has this brand called Barstool Sports, and he had these pizza reviews of all these frozen pizzas online. And basically, it sprung into him wanting to make his own frozen pizza. Well, we didn't end up making their frozen pizza originally, but their current manufacturer, or their previous manufacturer, was struggling to keep up with production and quality. And so Walmart reached out to us and said, hey, we want you guys to work with Barstool and create this one-bite pizza. And we're going to put it in every single Walmart in the country. Wow, it's a great opportunity. Then there's this, anyone heard of a show called Stranger Things on Netflix? Yeah? It's kind of a phenomenon these days. So again, Walmart reached out to us and said, hey guys, last season, all these kids, they worked in this ice cream shop. And this year, all these kids are going to be working in a pizzeria. And it's going to be called Surfer Boy Pizza. We'd love for you guys to license this product and sell it across every single Walmart in the country. And as I said, so when Netflix talked to us, DiGiorno, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, and all the national brands reached out to Walmart to make this pizza, but they said no. We want to work with Palermos because of their service and reputation. And so now this product is just on shelves today, and it'll be going across the entire country. And what's exciting about both of these is that they're really great tasting pizzas, but we're also able to find ingredients that everybody would love and that are within our current supply chain. So that's kind of what we're looking at for moving forward on new product launches. Is we still want some truly unique, innovative products, but the majority of our commercialization needs to be on simpler items that have longer run times and increase efficiencies in our production. All right, so here we are today, and we are in a crazy world. We've got labor, we've got inflation, and lots of other things going on in the world today, right? So, the first part is think differently. And this is finding people smarter than you to help out with these challenges. The labor market is so different post-COVID than it was pre-COVID. It's unfathomable to think of the world pre-COVID and how things were from labor, not just office, but manufacturing, supply chain, all of the things that go with labor are crazy. So I got a question, Todd, for you. Do you want to come work third shift at Palermo's Pizza right now?
No thanks.
No thanks. What if I were to offer you $500,000? Would you want to come work third shift at Palermo's? Yeah. All right. So take this model, and we're not going to pay $500,000 for a third shift position, but we already have very high wages compared to industry standards. But what's that extra wage? So let's say that we're at $17 on a third shift, just entry level position today. What if we were to pay 18? No? What about 19, 20, 21? What does that look like? And does that then give us the employee base that we need to do things differently? Maybe we have to schedule differently. Maybe we can't just run a normal 6-day schedule where everyone just works their 6 days and that's it. Maybe it's a rotating shift. These are things that we're starting to think about to address some of the labor. I won't say short. It's not necessarily it is a shortage, but people's behaviors of how they want to work is different. Everything from working from home to working hybrid model. It's not a one-size-fits-all either. I believe it's important to people to back in the office to embrace the corporate culture, but maybe not every day. But if you've got a manufacturing environment, they've got to be there every day, right? So how do you think about their schedule different? And how do you think about their pay different? I think we do have to look at paying more for some of our manufacturing staff in order to attract and retain that talent. The next piece is inflation. So I got 3 advice for inflation: price, and more price. I can't stress enough the importance of passing on all of your costs. And so you can try to save your way and cut costs and cut heads. And if you don't want to grow, I think that's fine. You can do that. But if you want to grow, again, you got to think differently. And now is the time, right? Everything's costing more between raw materials and freight and people. So why don't you think differently as well and take those higher operating costs and pass them on? Right now, every price is going up. If you look at every article, Nestle across the board, 10% price increase. Now is your opportunity to pass on those prices. So it's a crazy world. So I challenge you guys to innovate in everything you do, from your processes to your policies to your products. Just because this is what you've done in the past, if it's working, great. But if it's not working, fix it. And so don't wait for the pain to be so great for you to change your process. Think differently about the way that you hire, about your business overall. Maybe you had a product that you can't get anymore, so you got to change that product. Maybe you had a restaurant that had to switch to delivery only. The world is forcing us to make these changes, and you can try to resist it, or you can think creatively of how to anticipate it. And everything is moving faster. From the way that people are hired on the spot now. People are making deals faster. The supply chain is moving faster. Right now, there's 30 loads for every 1 truck driver. So think about that. Why your costs are so much is because you can't get products. And so the way that you schedule is differently. Maybe you have to have free pizza on your loading dock, or fun things like that in order to incentivize the truck drivers. And I guess the last piece is, so I recently have taken over HR, and HR in the past has used to been, well, they're just kind of the group over there that make sure we're doing the right thing. But I really encourage you to think of HR as your business partner and force them to become your business partner. Because if you want to attract great talent, if you want to retain great talent, And you want to make sure that they're onboarded in a great way and that your company is just a great place to work. Yes, it starts with overall leadership and the culture overall, but you're going to need a team that's going to help support with that. So I guess if I would say, in closing, as a company, we've been around for over 55 years. And the way that we've continued to grow and stay relevant is to win with our employees and with our customers by innovating in everything we do and focusing on customer intimacy. Thank you guys all for listening today.
Hey, Nick, one quick announcement I forgot.
Yes,
We will have our raffle like we normally do.
I got free
Draw
pizza.
a business card at the end. So Toby and Jamie will walk around and collect those while you take questions.
I do have a handful of free pizza coupons for your raffle.
Thank you, Nick. That's so interesting. I'm really curious with all of these new lines coming out and the limit to freezer space in even a Walmart. How do you decide what's going to stay in, how long it stays in? Is it all margin or what?
I mean, margins. So the question is, yeah, you guys heard the question. You saw the microphone. But margin's a big piece of it. Margin and velocity. So we might have an item, let's say that Zabruski with the beer infused crust might have had a really great margin, but it wasn't moving enough velocity in order to stay on shelf. So the retailer was going to discontinue it anyway. Or we might have an item that has really high velocity, but really low margin. And so it's depth. So margin, I'd say margin and velocity are the two biggest factors to what stays and what goes. And also sometimes the retailer will ask for something unique. So with Walmart and their great partnership, they asked for us to make a dessert pizza with we have a caramel cookie brownie and a s'mores pizza. We would have not done this because of margin, of supply chain, but our retailer as a partner asked us to do it, and so this will stay on shelf because they're saying it's staying on shelf. Thanks.
Nick, Brent F. Lawson. First, I want to say, you may not remember this, but I worked with Ray Curtis a lot of years ago.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
When you interact with, when you think about a new product, how much of it is trying to get some groundswell from customers versus the store pushing it? And on that same note, you mentioned you had a few products that had issues in their first launch. How do you convince retailers to say, basically, give us a second chance on this one? We've figured it out now, and you're not going to get so many customer complaints.
Yeah. So as far as either the push or pull strategy, do you want your consumers to pull it through the supply chain where they're demanding it, or do you want to push it through where the retailer is pushing it on someone? I would say our brands, specifically like Urban Pie and Screaming Sicilian, when we launch these items, we've learned as we launch slowly. And so we'll only launch maybe in a specific region, or we'll do enough research to know that the consumer wants this. And then simultaneously, we'll do enough marketing for the launch to tell people about this new product. So one of our new ones is a pepperoni and bacon. It's called the Bacon Roni. And it's everyone loves bacon, everyone loves pepperoni. Well, at least everyone who loves meat loves those two items. And so we'll do a lot of marketing to tell the consumer, hey, this new product's coming out, but we'll only do it in limited amount of stores until we start to see the success. And so we want to fail fast. And as far as our customer relationships, if something doesn't work, we got to be honest really fast with them. Hey, we messed up. This is on us. We apologize, and here's what we're doing to fix it. And so it's owning up right away and not trying to cover it up.
I love your pizza.
Thank you.
Presentation. It was good presentation for management people and for foodies, but I'm a marketing person.
Yes.
So I just wanted some marketing ideas you kicked around, didn't do, thinking of doing. For instance, a T-shirt with a slice of pizza, one call, that's all.
There we go.
10 minutes, fresh to your door in 10. Have you kicked around any marketing things that you haven't done? $1 to charity for every pizza bought in the month of June, Ukraine or something?
Yeah, so Yeah, so I guess from marketing, what we've done historically is we did a lot of marketing internal. We bounced around from agencies. We tried going big, we tried going small, but I think there's the basic blocking and tackling. So there's a number of social media mediums that you need to be on today. You need to spend accordingly. Um, and those are just your general awareness. If you have enough money for TV, then that's another medium. But I think one of the things that we wanted to do really big before COVID was a pizza tour. We believe if you put our pizza into people's mouths, they're going to love it. If you have an excited group of people sampling the product and talking about it, that's going to create excitement. You're not going to get the reach of maybe a social media campaign, but you'll get this customer intimacy or consumer intimacy with someone. And so this year, we're really excited that we've partnered with a company to do a full Midwest pizza tour. So you'll see our trucks around at different store openings, festivals, what have you, that you'll see our Screamin' Sicilian trucks around the Midwest. I think we're really excited for that, just to put our pizza in people's mouths.
Good morning, John Hine.
Good morning.
You mentioned earlier that when you did this Screaming Sicilian, you got the best sausage and the best cheese.
Yes.
Now, as you expanded to the entire country, what have you done to make sure that the supplier of that sausage and the supplier of that cheese can continue to grow their products or your supply chain? And what do you do to test to make sure that it is still the same quality that it was when you first chose it?
Yeah, good question. So on the supply chain side, we always want to have multiple suppliers. And so after that product is launched, it might be a unique item just to this one supplier. So I'll use our fresh mozzarella. We were buying actual retail packets of fresh mozzarella, opening them up and putting them on pizza by hand. So not only was there a huge weight discrepancy from piece to piece, but the consumer wasn't having that great experience. Plus, our manufacturer was opening up these products. So what we did is we worked with a manufacturer to come up with a fresh mozzarella log that can actually fit in our pepperoni slicer. And so now we have multiple suppliers that are able to do this exact spec that we want. And same for the sausage. For the sausage specifically, we know the formula because we custom made it with the supplier. And so after our 1 or 2 years with them was coming up, we did an RFP. We said, hey, we hope that you continue to make this product, but we always need to drive costs out, and not by cutting quality, but saying we're going to be buying exponentially more of this product. So who else out there is able to make the exact spec? And so now on a lot of our items, we have multiple suppliers that maintain the exact same spec for us. And we have a very robust quality department that, from raw material inspection to product cuttings daily. They're looking at the taste, the texture, the flavor, the age of the product, and all the different aspects to make sure that we're delivering a great customer experience. Thank you.